All right, well, thanks a lot for coming. We've been playing for 3.5 hours. Now we'd like just a minute of your time to say something about the environment.
Oh, you suck! Shut up and play!
Preaching!
We're not being preachy, but the pollution in your lake is dissolving our barge.
I thought they touched on a vital issue.
I beg to differ.
Welcome, basket cases, to Side 2 of Geek Salad episode 244, the Blue episode. I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
I'm Joe.
I'm Catherine.
And we are back now to talk about our favorite albums of the year, 1994. We had a shit ton of stuff we talked about on Side A when we talked about the singles and the soundtracks and everything. And we got a lot of great social media. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to it. It's fantastic. We had a lot of great contributions from a lot of great people. But I think it's time because we got to talk about some of these albums, some of which were brought up in the first part by some of our contributors. But who wants to kick us off?
Ladies first.
Something that came up repeatedly was 9 Inch Nails' The Downward Spiral.
There we go. Awesome. Yep.
You let me violate you. You let me desecrate you. You let me penetrate you. You let me complicate you. Help me. I broke apart my insides. Help me. I've got no soul to tell. Help me. The only thing that works for me. Help me get away from myself. I wanna fuck you like an animal. I wanna feel you from the inside. I wanna fuck you like an animal. My whole existence is flawed. You get me closer to God.
And
That is on your list, Catherine.
it is on my list, which is why I'm talking now. And yeah, like this was much harder than Pretty Little Hate Machine.
Oh God, yeah. God, yeah.
But it's still the album that you put on when you're like, it's like, oh, this breakup sucked and I'm miserable and I hate everything. But it's really good, and and then this is the album that brought us Hurt, which is a song that Trent Reznor has since ceded to Johnny Cash for his cover of it.
Yeah, it was weird going back and listening to the 9 Inch Nails Hurt because I'm so used to the Johnny Cash version now.
Right, and it's funny because that's become the iconic version of that song.
Right.
And partly because Trent Reznor recognized that he was like, nah, that's good. I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. I am retiring this jersey.
Yeah, game recognizes game.
Yeah. And it's also an honor that like I'm Trent Reznor and it's like Johnny Cash covered this song.
Yeah.
And did a really good job and understood what I was saying and understood the story. and did it so very well. So that's just
Yeah.
like,
I mean, I think if there's anybody who could have, outside of, the genre of Nine Inch Nails, who could understand it, it would be Johnny Cash.
yeah,
Right, exactly. Because he wrote country songs that were essentially saying the same thing.
right.
But,
And it
yeah,
was
the Downward
just-
it's weird. I feel like the Downward Spiral is more like, it feels like a concept album.
Oh yeah. It's totally
I
a
didn't mean to
concept album.
interrupt, yeah.
It's totally a concept album. I have the original CD here, which was like, it's in a cardboard sleeve with a separate book for the album, and then it's got one of the early thin jewel cases.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
I had
wow.
that one.
With like all of the art on it. And the
Yep.
yeah, the art, and then like you're like, oh, it's a CD, and you open it, and then you see the art of the downward spiral of the conch shell on the CD, and it's just like, yeah, it is. Yeah, Trent Reznor is an artist and does stuff, and he's also an awesome producer.
Yeah. And now he makes music for Disney films.
Because
Who
he's
knew?
an excellent producer.
Didn't see that coming. Yeah. Well, he and Atticus Finch have won 2 Oscars for doing movies. They won one for Social Network and one for Soul.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's weird because it's like, I think I like more individual songs off of Pretty Hate Machine. But as
Yeah.
an overall concept, the Downward Spiral is a pretty amazing feat. As, the official follow-up, because there was that other album, like the Broken EP that came out in between them, yeah. But that really just seems, I feel like that was all like outtakes of Pretty Hate. Whereas
Yeah,
this is
pretty much.
more, this was definitely all conceived after the fact.
Yeah, this definitely has its own. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, Downward Spiral has a, it's consistent. It's all pulled together.
Yeah. It also drives me nuts when I was trying to like put stuff on like mixtapes. This thing would just end suddenly. Like, God damn you!
Yes. Oh yes, that was the other thing, is like once the CD became a thing, this was the era where CDs were like really dominating. And so people did like to blend things together and blend more and blend more and blend more. And so you're like, I just want to put this song on my mixtape. Because it was like, it was kind of, we poor mortals couldn't like rip albums and put things together and blend them. So you were like, all right, I'm going to rip the CD, and not even rip the CD. I'm going to like, I want to record this song onto my CD, onto my tape, and it's just hard to cut it just right to get.
Oh no,
right.
it's funny you mentioned that, because one of my albums is notorious for doing that.
Oh God. Which we can get to right after we finish with the Downward Spiral, Joe. It's, oh God, why do they produce albums like this? Seriously, don't they know? Don't they know? I'm gonna mistake "Hurt" for a love song for some odd reason and throw that onto some mixtape like an idiot.
Did you?
I didn't.
Okay.
But you know what? I wouldn't have put it past myself to have done that. I was not bright.
You weren't in the good place.
No, I was not. No, I was not a good place. Remember, we were talking earlier about what state were we chemically in 1994? So, anywho. Catherine, anything else you got to say about the Downward Spiral before we go over to Joe's insidious offender of the blending of tracks?
Not that I could think of, no. Except that I still have the CD that I bought back in 1994 or 95. It's got the.
I'm certain I still have mine.
Oh yeah, I've got it right here with my parental advisory explicit lyric sticker on it.
I'm fairly certain though that my jewel case has snapped, like the little wings that hold the hinge door on have snapped because that thing was wafer thin.
It was wafer thin, but I've always kept it carefully protected in the cardboard sleeve, so it's still okay.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no, I'm just a
lot of my other jewel cases have died, but that one not so much actually.
Interesting. All right. Well, Joe,
All right.
what album were you referring to on your list here?
Oh, I think we both know which one I'm talking about because it's also a band that's notorious for doing that too, and that would be Pink Floyd, "The Division Bell."
Why did we tell you then you were always the golden boy then, and that you'd never lose the light in your eyes? Hey you, did you ever realize what you'd become? Did you see that it wasn't only me you were running from? Did you know all the time, but it never bothered you anyway? Leading the blind while I stared out the steel in your eyes.
Oh my God, I forgot this album existed. I really do. I apologize. I totally forgot this album existed. I thought by the time, the Momentary Lapse of Reason album came out, that was it. They were just putting out live albums from then on. I just totally forgot Division Bell came out.
Well, it's funny you bring up Momentary Lapse of Reason because this was the follow up to that. The studio follow-up to that album, which is, the first David Gilmour Pink Floyd album. This was the second studio Gilmour Floyd album. But this one, I think, is way better than Momentary Lapse of Reason. And for the simple reason that this album is more cohesive thematically than Momentary Lapse of Reason was.
Okay.
And I'm saying in the sense,
they had a momentary lapse of reason, and you expect that to be coherent?
Well, the thing is also with Momentary Lapse of Reason is that, oh my God, it definitely felt like it was geared more for singles than it was like the Pink Floyd way of making like one 45-minute song that is broken up into chunks.
Right. Right, and again, it goes to the blending of tracks because in this album, one track leads directly into another. The interstitials of the songs, you don't know when it starts and when it begins. And they have a thing for bells. Of course, it's called the Division Bell, so there's a lot of church bells ringing in this album. I think, and it's got a lot of good tracks. A lot of, and me being, somebody who loves guitars and guitar playing, it showcases how talented David Gilmour is as a guitar player, especially like the end songs like "Great Day for Freedom." Jesus, I can't believe I actually had the album pulled up. And I completely forgot all the songs. God damn it! Pulls Apart. The solos on it just have a way of eliciting emotion that Momentary Lapse of Reason couldn't. So, but for me, the standout songs are Pulls Apart and Coming Back to Life. Those are the I think the two best songs on the album.
Interesting. Okay. I've never given this one a fair shake, to be honest with you, because, again, I forgot it existed. I do know, though, that my wife actually has seen Pink Floyd live because she went to this tour.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was she missed her senior prom or this was like the day before her senior prom and then she went to the senior. I don't remember. All I know is it was at Great Woods. I wasn't in the picture yet, so there was, I can't get that story straight. So, all right. Well, Mike.
Yeah.
Hit us with a little bit of that down home country, my friend.
Okay. I did a little bit of a switch up. I did have a Little Texas Kick a Little on my album list, but I really only like 2 songs from that one. So I moved that to the honorable mention. I switched it with Brooks and Dunn's third album, Waiting on Sundown.
She's out to find out how she'll do without him. Her hands are shaking, her heart's pounding by the way she's drinking. His memory's drowning. She's not the cheating kind. She's been cheated one too many times. Oh, she's never fooled around. He's still lying, she's through crying. She's not fooling now.
Just
Yeah,
going
you
over
switched this up after I made the playlist. I didn't get a chance to listen to this yet, so please.
Yeah, no, I
explain.
literally just switched it up 5 seconds ago.
Sneaky.
Yeah, well, I was just going over the playlist here, the song list, and I know so many more songs and like so many more songs on the Brooks and Dunn album that I was like, yeah, I love the song "Kick a Little" by Little Texas, but that one song does not make the entire album for me, so I had to do it. Waiting on Sunday, it's got Little Miss Honky Tonk, which is just a really fun, kind of a 2-step song. It's just a nice little dance song, whatever. She's Not the Cheating Kind, which is for my pick, it's my favorite song off of that one. You're Gonna Miss Me When I'm Gone. And another one, and Whiskey Under the Bridge, which is another real nice fun song from them. Yeah, they are consistently considered one of the best duos in country music, and rightly so. They just harmonize with each other so great. It's just a solid album all the way around. Which most of their albums are pretty solid. This isn't my favorite album of theirs, but it's still a really, really good, solid one. So that's my first pick here.
Okay. I'm sorry I can't speak to it because it's just added in there. But, I
knew that'd be a problem.
In good faith, I did listen to the other 4. So
nice.
And Kick a Little. I did listen to Kick a Little. So
yeah, that is just a fun song though. It really is.
It is. It's just there is an era, and I think this is going to come up a lot when we discuss these things. That there is just that country bar atmosphere that some of these songs that you picked. Have. It's like, all right, well, you're just going to get your, gonna drink another Budweiser, put it down in the bar, do your step dance, and then go right back to the bar. Maybe go to the jukebox. Everyone's wearing jeans. Everyone's wearing jeans and boots.
Yeah. Early to mid 90s was really my sweet spot for country. I kept with it for into the early 2000s, but that's when I really kind of, I was like, yeah, okay. Once I really kind of got out of college, country, I was like, I just didn't follow it as much as I used to, except except one of our managers at Verizon, she played us a few songs that I didn't enjoy.
Oh, okay. All right, now let me ask you, because you'll probably know this better than me, and Catherine, Joe, feel free to pipe in on this as well. But when did like this bar style of country music kind of fade out of? Did it go from like
I can tell you
did it go
exactly
from the line dancing bar style? Did it go immediately to the uber jingoistic super patriotic,
Andy,
and then went to bro country? Yeah,
Andy, I can tell you exactly when, because day of days, guess who passed away today?
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up too. That as we are recording this was Toby Keith had just passed away of stomach cancer.
Happy Dixie Chicks Day.
Yeah, but it's just like
just the chicks.
It's just the chicks now. But
yeah,
it got me thinking though. Was there a period in between like what Mike's talking about here with like the line dancing bar happy country music? Was there anything in between that and booting your
Jason
ass
Aldean?
for the stars and bars? Was there anything like in between?
Yeah, it was 9/11, and then after that the Iraq War.
Yeah.
Then when you got Toby Keith, and that became the predominant form of country music.
I was just curious about that because now it's all bro country.
I mean, honestly, I don't much care for that song of Toby Keith's, but I like a lot of his other songs because he was having fun with it. Other than that one song with it.
I didn't realize how long he's been around.
Even Alan Jackson had that stupid like Stairway to Heaven song.
Yeah. I had no idea how long Toby Keith had been around. He was around during this era, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. But honestly, it wasn't until his album, How Do You Like Me Now? I think he actually, that was his first album with a new record label, and it was really at that point forward that he was just like, you know what, let's just have fun, because that's when he had like Red Solo Cup, I Love This Bar, you know, the more fun songs that I love him for.
He changed with the times, for better or worse.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike, for doing that. I was just really curious about that because I'm like, I know it didn't transition. Like, I didn't know if there was an era in between that. So, all right.
I will say, as kind of an aside to the rise of bro country and, you know, this kind of, again, love for the stars and bars and crap. It did give rise to more appreciation for alt country and roots rock.
Right.
So for me, it opened up my eyes to artists like Lord Huron and Hayes Carl, who are not bro country, but they're not, you know, they're considered like roots rock and you know, Americana.
Well, still Joe, what about Darius Rucker?
Oh God.
Jeez. Oh God. Well, we'll be talking about Darius in just a few.
Yeah.
But it also
on country album.
Crazy. That's crazy to me. So all right. Well, I'm gonna take the mic now, and I'm actually gonna bring up one that is near and dear to Geek Salad.
Yes.
Because 1994 was the year that Sugar released "File Under Easy Listening."
I was wondering when we were going to get to this song.
Yeah. For longtime listeners of the show,
our
original 244 episodes ago, we kicked off the first episode of Geek Salad with Sugar's Your Favorite Thing, which comes from this album. and on for at least the first 100 episodes. This was our theme song. This album, though, is, I mean, it's a Sugar album, so I'm gonna immediately love it. It's just, you got that great, you got Bob Mould's great sonic guitars. There's something about, like, every single one of the songs is just like they do the riff, and then you get this terrific little drum fill in between each and every verse, and it works. It works as a cohesive unit. Your favorite thing is a fantastic song, but it kicks off with Gift, which is just pounding guitars. But then towards the end of the album, they switch things up. I put this one on the on our playlist. Believe What You're Saying, which is more of a pretty much an acoustic. I Can't Believe You're Breaking Up With Me song. And it's kind of sweet how it plays out. And it's able to shift things up from going from super hard to doing something pop punky like Your Favorite Thing. But just keeping the whole vibe of something that was keeping Bob Mould very entertained, because I think his most fun music comes from Sugar. I mean, he had some great stuff with Husker Du. He's done a lot of great solo stuff, but the stuff he did with Sugar is just so much fun to listen to. I actually have the live, in case you didn't feel like showing. Oh, good Lord, I don't remember the name of the album now. I have it on vinyl, but they put out a live album as kind of like a bonus for a B-sides that they released the following year, and it sounds. The Joke is always on us sometimes. That's the name of that album. It's a live album, and they did almost every track from File Under Easy Listening live on it, and it just sounds so good. And they play out well live too, but overall, it's a fantastic album. Definitely recommend. High recommend.
Cool.
Awesome. And with that pause that you could drive a dump truck through, let's move over to Catherine. Catherine, what's your next album?
Let's talk about Soundgarden's Super Unknown album.
This might be my favorite Soundgarden album.
Yeah, this one's good. It's got a lot of great singles came off of this album.
Yep. More than I realized, actually.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I was going through that list when I was I added a couple to the playlist, and I'm like, oh shit, this is on there too. No shit, this is on there too. My God.
Yeah, exactly. Fell on Black Days, Spoon Man, and then there's, of course, Black Hole Sun, which one day
also appeared on Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, it was over 5 years ago. I was at Olive Garden with my mom on a weekend, and I start staring at the ceiling because they were playing Paul Anka covered Black Hole Sun. Which is a hilarious cover.
Yeah.
I was like, because it's like, lounge version, but it's, it's done really well. And it's like,
Right.
It comes on and I'm like, I'm like hearing it in the background because I'm at the restaurant with my mom. And then I'm just like, am I hearing what I think I'm hearing?
I think Richard Cheese did it also.
I think the Paul Anka version is the one that people know, though. And I'm not sure that Richard Cheese did. I might still have my Richard Cheese album. It's like, you think it sounds like Richard Cheese, but it's Paul Anka.
I wouldn't doubt it. Either way. Yeah, it really is a great album. I wasn't huge into Soundgarden up until this. So, of course, I go with their big commercial breakthrough because, I suck. But,
But yeah, this was in the period where I didn't buy CDs unless I liked 3 singles that I heard on the radio. And it was like, all right, now I'm willing to spend the money on the CD because I like at least 3 songs off this album.
Right. Mike, Joe, any thoughts on Super Unknown?
No. I did. Soundgarden wasn't really my thing at the time.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, for the most part, Soundgarden is super unknown to me.
Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did.
I saw an opening and I took it.
Oh yeah, this was
all right.
One of the albums, and I again still have my copy from the '90s. I never pawned it off.
All right, Joe, what do you got for us next?
All right, my next one is the debut album of the hatingest brothers in all of Britpop, and that's Oasis. Definitely Maybe.
Oh my god! I remember when this album came out, and all their interviews had to be subtitled.
Well, it's funny because again, it's one of those things. I'm always fascinated by bands whose sophomore albums are their breakout albums.
Yep.
Because then you go back to their debut album, and you're like, this isn't the same band. But with Oasis, it's pretty much they're pretty much the same band. You've heard one Oasis album, you pretty much heard them all. But it's very much again typical Oasis, in your face, just a wall of sound. But it doesn't have that Beatles tinge. I don't think anyways. It doesn't have that Beatles tinge that What's the Story, Morning Glory gets painted with.
Right. Well, it's also this album is more underproduced.
Yeah, it's way more
Glory.
Than, yeah.
Yeah. But I remember, Live Forever was one of those songs that it always just kind of hung out behind the curtain. It was always there, but it was keep going back to MTV, and it's weird because 94 for me was a banner year for MTV. They used Live Forever for everything. And I remember during the Video Music Awards, they used it when they were showing his best, their best pick. One of their Best Picture nominees was Interview with the Vampire, and they used Live Forever, and I'm like, that's perfect. That's a perfect use of this song.
Yeah, and Live Forever, Rock and Roll Star.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way it opens up, it's just in your face. Which was so different again, you mentioned their rivalry with Blur, but is so different to what was coming out of Britain at any kind of British music scene at the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's interesting too because like Shane in the last episode brought up Blur's Park Life, and Park Life is just so upper class
to
Blur's working class, just in terms of how the music is presented. The production style of the music is so it's very much a working class. I wouldn't be shocked if they were opening beer bottles with their teeth, while they were singing type of music.
Yeah. So.
And again, they subtitled all their interviews.
And again, I mean, it was a solid debut, but yeah, I mean, What's the Story, Morning Glory is definitely an improvement over this.
Right.
Now, if only they'd stop beating each other up, we'd be gold.
Yeah. All right, Mike, what's up next?
Next, I think I'll go with Brian White's self-titled debut album.
Think that I could find a true love of my own. It happens all the time to people that I know. Their wishes all come true, so I've got to believe that there's still someone out there who is meant for only me. I guess I must be wishing on someone else's star. It seems like someone else keeps getting what I'm wishing for. Why can't I be as lucky as those other people are? I guess I must be wishing on someone else's star.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and his number one single off of that, really is the first time anyone had ever heard of this guy, was Someone Else's Star, and that one really kind of took a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It really hit number one. I think it hit number one. If it didn't hit pretty darn close in the country charts. But yeah, and that was enough to get me to buy his album. And looking through my CD collection, I realized I've actually got two of this album. Don't know where the other one.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just going through the list. I'm like, wait a second, I have this album out, but I see the album there. But anyway, so yeah, I just bought the album from that one song, and it turns out he's got quite a few good songs on this one. Number one is Eugene Genius, which is just a fun one to say. But This Town is probably my second favorite song on this one. He's got a very, very light voice to it. He's pretty young when this album came out, actually. But
okay.
This Town is a good song. Look at Me Now, Going, Going, Gone. They're all just he's got a very, very young sound to him, but it really works for this album. And I still think I still listen to it. It's still good, some really good songs on it. So
okay, yeah. And I could tell that the songwriting is, because I listened to Someone Else's Star. The songwriting in and of itself is really good. I mean, it's not my brand of vodka, but it is definitely, I could understand why people would like that song. Yeah.
But no, if that one's not your brand of vodka, try listening to This Town, because that one's a little bit more, because Someone Else's Star is a little bit more like romantic pop ballad. This Town is a little bit more not hard country, but it's a little bit more upbeat and type, but kind of darker type thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I was surprised how much I really enjoyed the full album, because again, just buying it off that one song, because I really didn't love Someone Else's Star, but then the rest of the songs were actually really solid. So apparently that's the reason I bought it twice.
Yeah, you were definitely in high school then, because that's the thing I did in high school. You know, I love one song, buy the entire album. How bad could it? Oh, it's bad.
If anyone wants a copy, I got one for free.
That's our giveaway, folks. All right. All right, so I'm going to grab the next one here. As Shane brought this up on episode 1, but I got to stop for a bit. We got to talk about live Throwing Copper.
I can't shake from my tree just yet. Keep invading all my private moments. Listen to me now. The feelings of your truth will always break it. And the arrows of your eye always shake it. And the ironies, the armies I have created will always hate it. Always makes you on, oh yeah. Come on. Until I take them flags. Until I take their flags. Come on. Until I take their flags.
Oh my god, this album.
This album, oh my God. This might be my favorite album of 1994. Just because every time I go back and I listen to it, I am reminded of how amazing this album is.
It's
And
a
how
really
just-
good album.
This sounds so different than almost everything that was on even alt rock radio at the time. I mean, stuff like Selling the Drama, which is their lead-off single, sounds like a basic alt song, and then I Alone comes out. It's just like it changes up tempos. It changes up how it really conducts its business. I'm not even going to talk. I mean, really not even going to talk about Lightning Crashes, which is a great song, but it's like not even one of my favorite songs on this album. Top and Iris, though, are two of
Iris,
my absolute Iris is
such
so
a good
good.
song.
Yep.
Because it just takes you in so many different directions, and you could always tell listening to subsequent live albums how much they were chasing this dragon. They really wanted to get this sound back, and it works to an extent. Secret Samadhi, which comes out a couple of years later, is like, okay, I can tell it's live. I know it's live, but and there was another. I don't remember what the other album was that followed that one, the one with Dolphins Cry, and it was like, okay, so they're moving the other direction of Throwing Copper. But I remember picking up this album based on the strength of Selling the Drama and I Alone, and I was just like, this album has no right being this timeless. And I was talking about 30 years from now, like I just bought it yesterday. Because every time I listen to it, no matter how many times I listen to it, I feel like it's the first time I'm listening to it.
Yeah, it's so good. Speaking of, so you mentioned Lightning Crashes. You didn't want to talk about it because it's not your favorite. There was a guy in college in one of my Spanish classes who lived in Texas. And he was in one of the improv troupes on campus, and so he was really funny, and because he was like, I've never seen snow, so like he was late to class one of the first days it snowed at college, so it was like, everybody go out and get a snowball and we're all gonna nail him when he comes to class. We did. But anyway, he mentioned that he had put Lightning Crashes on repeat when he was driving back to school in Massachusetts from Texas.
Oh my God.
and he loved it so much. And that guy was
by that point,
so nice.
Yeah,
he was so nice and generous and fun that like, so hearing Lightning Crashes, I'm like, you know, it is a good song. It's not necessarily the best song on this album, but like I have such fond memories from college because of that guy and that song. But I'm looking at the copy now, and speaking of jewel cases that have broken, I'm like, yes, this is one that broke. I can tell because I've got like a whole red, like generic disc back on this one, and I picked that because it went with the album cover.
Yeah, if you're driving from Texas to Massachusetts, though, you better be able to hit that final. I could feel it. But yeah, this is the beauty of this album is that unlike, I mean, we've talked a lot about a lot of like this face melting, grinding rock, and this isn't that album.
No,
this is way more thoughtful. It's very insightful. Musically, it's very rich musically too. But yeah, just chef's kiss all around for Throwing Copper. I love this album. All right then. And Mike's like, I haven't listened. I listened to the 3 songs you threw on there on the spot.
And they were okay. It's just not to my taste. Sorry.
Right. That's fine. That's fine. All right. Catherine, you're up next. Yeah.
All right.
You're up next, Catherine.
All right. I'm going to change up a little bit, and I'm going to talk about the Brian Setzer Orchestra's debut album.
Now if you ever plan to motor west, travel my way, take the highway, that's the best. Or get your kicks on Route 66. It winds from Chicago to LA, more than 2,000 miles all the way. Or get your kicks on Route 66. Go through St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, Oklahoma City, looking mighty pretty. You'll see Amarillo, Gallup, New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona. Don't forget Winona, Boston, Reno, San Bernardino. You get hip to this timely tip when you make that California trip. Get your kicks on Route 66.
Ooh, yeah. That was interesting hearing Route 66 done by somebody else that wasn't Depeche Mode. So, excellent.
Yeah. So, the other thing that was coming up in the 90s, Swing Kids came out in 93, and Blast from the Past is around here, too. It was a 50s revival was going around.
Mm-hmm.
And it had been coming up, we talked about that, being something in the late 80s, and then they went the 50s, and then they went back, and we're going into the 40s music and the 30s music. And Brian Setzer has always been into rockabilly and swing, and so he did the Stray Cats, and he did the rockabilly in the 50s style, and he was like, yeah, but I want to do what I really want to do. And so he went with the Brian Setzer Orchestra and went more 40s and 30s.
Right.
And, and getting up, a little later in the 90s, I got into the swing dance scene and got into the Lindy Hop scene. And so this is kind of I still love that time. I love that dance. It's a lot of fun. I hate West Coast swing. West Coast swing is what white people did to it. And
you know what the best part about it too is that Brian Setzer really this was he pioneered that the modern swing movement, and then it just became a bunch of failed punk bands. They're like, okay, what if we throw on suits?
Yeah, we listened to them, and I think we got to dance to some of them live, but they were trying to they were like, we're gonna do this thing, and he's like, I am this thing.
Well, I mean, for him,
That's what I have. He was
for him,
did
it was
anything else.
No, I mean, for him, it was a natural progression when you think about it, because I mean, he started out as a rockabilly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rockabilly was a thing, and rockabilly is an outgrowth of swing music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably like, I can't even remember if this is true, but he probably wanted to do this in the first place, and people were like, no, there's no room for that. And he went with the 50s thing that was coming up in the 80s. And then, like, the 90s happened. He was like, all right, now I'm going to transition and have my own, there was the Glenn Miller group. Now there's going to be my group.
Right. And that's the thing too, is that even you go back to the Stray Cats, and you could tell there was an appreciation for the style of music, and he's very much a music historian, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he was. It's not like he was doing it because he was like, "This is what I'm going to do to make money." He was like, "This is who I am. You can come with me, or you can get off the bus."
Right.
Yeah, he didn't care. That's the music he loved, and that was what he was going to do. And that gives it an authenticity.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely agree with that too. So, excellent. Well, I think this just turned into the you and me conversation here. I think we got to move on to Joe now.
Okay. All right. My next one is another debut album. No Need to Argue by the Cranberries.
Oh, yes.
Was this a debut album? No, I thought they had an album that came out in 93. So, yeah, take a look at that, because I remember, doing the Wikipedia thing, because they're never wrong. I think their second, this was their, 94 was the release of their second album, right, okay. So this is the one that has Zombie on it. And,
Zombie, yes.
Zombie and Salvation, I think, are the two big songs off of this one.
Yeah.
Linger was the first album. Linger was the first album.
Okay. I know I got this album from the Columbia Record Club.
I think I owe my left nut from getting this one from BMG. I think it's just.
Oh, was that what I did? I think I was BMG, not Columbia.
I was Columbia.
I was definitely
They're
BMG.
all basically the same thing.
Oh yeah, but yeah, no, this is I enjoyed this album. And you think about it, it was their second album after Everybody Does It, Why Don't We?
Yeah.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
Which had some great songs, but this has some pretty good songs too. If you go beyond Zombie and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, Salvation was an interesting song too, because I feel like it had a lot of great energy to it, but because Zombie was just I mean, Zombie's
the thing is, Zombie dominated this. Yeah, like you said, Zombie was their primary single off this album. Basically, it was just got so much airplay, it pretty much drowned out everything else from this album.
Right. Exactly. But it's it's the Cranberries, and it's their '90s output was actually really, really great.
Oh God, yeah.
It was. And of course, at fantasy live action role playing, everybody with a guitar loved to do Zombie because we were eventually going to fight zombies at some point that weekend.
Well, that and Wonderwall hadn't come out yet.
That's true. That's next year, Joe. That's next year. Anybody who's got an acoustic guitar in their house has to learn how to play it, so we can all play it like at the same time, like all the Kens did with Matchbox 20's Push.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll play the drums.
But
yeah, overall, I enjoyed the album. Good, a solid sophomore effort from the Cranberries.
Absolutely.
Yeah, considering how timeless Zombie has become, there was no sophomore slump with this, and that's kind of the big thing. I mean, '90s there was, we're going to talk about one of your bands and your next go around, Joe. They had a horrific sophomore slump.
Oh God, yeah, they lived off their first album.
And why wouldn't you? But we'll get to that in just a little bit. But after we hear from Mike.
I was just going to point out that Bad Wolves brought Zombie back in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And Bad Wolves has stood up as a band all on their own. They're not like one of those bands that's like, we're going to do a cover of an awesome song and then fade away. No, they have their own awesome songs. But yeah, they did an excellent cover of it and updated it for the years that we're living in now. But yeah,
I remember we talked about that on our covers episode.
Oh yeah.
It was right after Dolores had died too, so it was like
exactly
kind of a big deal that they had got the permission to do it.
Yeah, and I think she was supposed to sing and perform in it. They'd gotten that arrangement, and then it was very sad. But anyway, Mike.
Right, Mike.
Hi. What's up?
What's your next song?
I know.
Your next album?
For my next album, I think I'll go with Colin Ray, Extremes.
Is it too much to think that we could have it all? Who knows? We may never know. But if I were you, I'd promise to live life for all it's worth. Take all that you've been given and leave your mark upon this earth. Trust your heart to show you everything you'll ever need. And if I were you, I'd fall in love with me.
This is his third studio album. He's just got such a solid voice. I've always loved Colin Ray's voice. I mean, the one song I didn't realize I forgot I could put more than one song on these playlists. But the one song I put on this one is kind of the most fun song from this one, from this album. That's My Story.
Yeah.
And it basically is just a really fun song of like, in the scenario he's like trying to explain, like, his wife is kind of suspicious where he's been all night. He's like, oh yeah, I just fell asleep in the hammock. He's like, yeah, no, you put the hammock in the attic. He's like, well, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Yeah. And it just turns out he was playing poker with his buddies all night. But just the fact that with each chorus, that's my story just becomes like a little bit more. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Yeah. But he's also got a song on this one. The fourth song is called Little Rock, and that one That one got a lot of playlists, and the music video was actually sponsored by Al-Anon, because it's all about like a guy who was an alcoholic, and he's like trying to come clean, and by just getting some just bunch of random jobs in Little Rock. It's a very slow, very very touching song. And he's also he's got My Kind of Girl, which is a really fun song. He's also got another song on this one called If I Were You. And that one's a really good one. I think he actually released it on his first album, but I think he did a kind of a new version for this one, and this is the one that I think everyone remembers. But
okay,
yeah, those are my four of my favorite songs on this one. But the whole album, I think, is really really good. I just love Conray's voice. It's so clean. It's so just soulful almost.
Yeah. Well, listening to That's My Story, I talked about this earlier about kind of like that bar type of, that definitely sounds like something, you pop it on the jukebox.
Oh yeah.
Order up a couple of bottles of Bud, then.
Yeah, especially how especially in later choruses, he has that That's My Story, and he's got a backup chorus That's My Story. It's you could totally see someone sing that and then having the whole crowd, yeah, that's my story.
Some dude singing into a bottle. It's
yeah, but yeah, that's the most fun song of this one. But you listen to Little Rock, it is a really really touching song, and his voice suits it so wonderfully. So yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, what I heard, which was the one song, it had a lot of energy to it. So
yeah.
All right, so it's up to me now, and I'm going to bring up the debut album, The Blue Album by Weezer.
Oh,
Weezer.
My girl's got eyeballs in the back of her head. She looks around and around, it makes me sad to see her like that. Please don't believe her. She says that for anyone, and if you see her, tell her it's a hey, 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 hey. I want a girl who will laugh for no one else. When I'm away, she puts her makeup on the shelf. When I'm away, she never leaves the house. I want a girl who laughs for no one else.
Weezer. This band. You want to talk? You get divisive now. You talk about old Weezer versus new Weezer, but I loved this. I played the hell out of this album. I think just behind Throwing Copper, I think I listened to this album more than anything else in the years after '94. It's got such a great energy to it. It's a lot of fun. One of their biggest hits is actually not even one of my favorite songs of theirs. I do not care all that much for Buddy Holly. I know the novelty of the video was the novelty of the video was there because they integrated themselves Forrest Gump style into the Happy Days set.
Mhm.
But they won me over with the Undone the Sweater song. But when you open up the album with something like My Name is Jonas, which just starts really quiet and then just these pounding alt-rock guitars, and then you end it with Only in Dreams, which is 8 minutes of this great bass solo. It's just overall just head to tail. This album is just full of just great little tracks. Other than Only in Dreams, I think everything else is under 3.5 minutes long.
I love this album. And
so much fun to listen to.
I had an opposite experience where I love Buddy Holly, and that's the song that made me get the album. And I was like, oh, this is actually a wicked good album. The entire because I went into it going, oh, okay, it's got this one song that I like, and that it's got me hooked. It's got a good hook to it. I'm not going to get into the other ones. Nope. As soon as I listened to from like you said, right from the start, it's like, I'm in. I am all in on this. And I've been a Weezer fan since.
Yeah, it's Surfwax USA is such a fun song as well. I mean, this is like I remember listening to this album. That was one of my favorite songs. Just the whole like they get the whole surf thing going, but
And Sophia loves this album. This is one of her favorite albums.
Nice.
Yeah, this is really me to pick up.
Well, we were listening. A couple years ago, I took her to Anime Expo in Boston, and we were in the car bebopping along to this song, this entire album.
Nice.
So this is a phenomenal album. I just probably gotta listen to more. But I keep seeing it like on vinyl. I'm like, I gotta pick this one up. What's wrong with me?
Sophia's got it on vinyl.
Nice.
Yeah, we were listening to the playlist, and some of the Weezer songs came on, and my husband was like, I didn't realize this song was that old.
Oh yeah. Well, you realize when Weezer was on the Mallrats soundtrack, and Mallrats came out in '95.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's just great. I mean, again, this is an album that sounds timeless. Like, there's no possible way this album turned 30. Just how is this even possible? But all right, well, we can move on then because we're starting to run long here. I think we've each got two, and I think we got a couple of honorables here. Catherine, what's next up on your list?
All right, next I would like to talk about Alice in Chains' Jar of Flies.
Hey, I ain't never coming home. Hey, I'm just wandering my own road. Hey, I can meet you here tomorrow. No, say goodbye, don't follow. Misery so hollow.
Which is a
interesting choice. I was like, I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't have that song on it. This doesn't have that song on it. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, but this is the song that has. This is the album that has the songs on it that I like. And I think it was like it was almost an EP. You know, it's not technically an EP, but it was like a short album of stuff. And I just like. I love Don't Follow. The journey of that song is amazing. And then again, we're going through the resurgence of swing, and they had Swing on This and Whale and Wasp are really cool, like, 8-beat, 8-count songs that you can swing to. And it's just, looking at this now, I'm like, I Don't Follow, and stuck in my head right this minute.
Yeah, what did you have on there for your? Oh, Don't Follow, Swing on This, Whale and Wasp. Okay.
Yeah, Don't Follow was the one I put on originally when I was only putting on one song, and I've added Swing on This and Whale and Wasp. But yeah, Don't Follow, and but yeah, this album, has a bunch of great stuff on it.
Yeah, it's still. I think it's still a really good album. It's just I don't know. I was expecting that, like, Again was going to be on this one, and it wasn't.
Yeah, Well, the thing is, my introduction to Alice in Chains was "Don't Get Me Wrong," so.
Oh, yep,
Right.
yep.
Yeah, from the Clerk soundtrack.
A quick soundtrack, which we briefly touched on in episode 1.
Yes, we did. Nice callback, Joe.
Thank you.
So we got anything else we want to say about Alice in Chains before we move on to Joe's 4th pick?
Apparently not.
I'm sorry, Catherine. It's just like it's just I don't. You know what? There was just something about Alice in Chains that like they kind of started to slide off after other bands that were definitely aping their sound started coming around. You know, like we talked about Stone Temple Pilots earlier, and it's like, yeah, they kind of had that sound. They sounded like a blend of Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains for the core album, and it's like, oh yeah, then there's Alice in Chains.
Yeah, this is the actual Alice in Chains.
Yeah, that's kind of why I like Jar of Flies, is because it's, the songs that are on it are good and solid, and again, like Don't Follow has a whole lot to it. It's not just like you start out and then it's like then something else happens and then something else happens and then you come back to the beginning, and so there's a whole a journey. But then they have like a couple things like Swing on This and Whale and Wasp are much more different than everything else of that time.
Right.
So that's why that's the album I still have, as opposed to having gone, I could use $2. I'm going to bring this one back to Newbury Comics to sell.
Oh, okay. Joe, what's next up on your list?
All right, next one is, I enjoyed it at the time. I really liked it. The problem is, it became the epitome of 90s dude bro rock and roll. And that's Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oh my, Cracked Rear View.
Cracked Rear.
I saw you standing there. Your hair was down, your eyes were red. No comb I touched your hair. I said, get up and let me see you smile. We'll take a walk together, walk the road a while. 'Cause I got a hand for you. I got a hand for you. I want to run with you. Won't you let me run with you? Hold my hand. Want you to hold my hand. Hold my hand. I'll take you to a place where you can be anything you wanna be, because I wanna love you the best that I can.
You're
Oh my God! I am not ashamed to admit that I loved this album when I was in my junior year in college, and because it got so much airplay. But the problem is, it became like sports anthem central.
Yeah.
And I think it had to do with the video, because of the videos, because they had like every mid-90s sports stars in their videos.
Yep.
Oh god, it just because the funny thing is that the songs are really catchy.
That's right. That's the thing. They're very catchy. They're easy to listen to. Don't really require a lot of thought. And it's just like, okay, yeah, this is fun. This is nice. I enjoy this. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they were by 95. Oh my god, they were everywhere.
Right, and then they kind of flamed, like you said, they flamed out real quick.
That second album, man, was a train record. It was, which we just, that's a Todd the Shadows thing. It just like, it sold a ton of copies in its first week, and then like a month later, people were buying them out of the used CD bin.
Yep.
It's just, it's like, okay, I think I got all I can out of this band. And now, Mike brought up on part one that Darius Rucker is now like a very successful country star, which, good for him that he's able to maintain some semblance of stardom afterwards. But the fact that it's a black man succeeding in country, that takes some doing. So good for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't happen often. Not gonna lie.
No, it doesn't. In fact, wasn't Tracy Chapman the first black woman to ever win a country music award?
I would not at all doubt it.
Okay, yeah, because she wrote Fast Car, which is now making its way around the track.
Well, she just had she and Luke Combs just did a duet during the Grammys.
Right.
Yeah. That was the thing, was that he liked the song and he respects her. He's
right. He wrote. Yeah, he did a cover of it, which got a lot of airplay.
Yeah, but he knows where it came from, and he was like, he's like, hey. That was that was what I heard. Yeah. It was like he was, at the Grammys, he was like, hey, it's not like I wrote this. This is a cover.
Yeah.
Let me respect the artist.
Right. And he's done a lot to respect Tracy Chapman, and I'm so glad that she's kind of having her resurgence, because we don't talk about her all that much, but my gosh, she wrote a lot of great music.
Absolutely.
So, Joe, anything else you want to say about Hootie and his blowfish?
No, that's all I got.
Other
Who
than
the hell was Hootie, by the way? Anyways,
the bit in Jerry Maguire.
Oh God, they were Smash Mouth before Smash Mouth was a thing.
Yeah, I was like,
oh my.
The bit in Jerry Maguire where Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character is like, I am not Hootie.
Oh man, that's got to be. That's the other thing too. Is poor Darius was just like, dude, my name is not Hootie. Stop calling me Hootie. My name is not Hootie.
Then he shouldn't have called himself Hootie.
Well, he didn't call himself Hootie. I'm sure there's got to be like some story funny only to the band about why they got that name.
Diane's best friend is actually very close to the band, so I should ask her how they came up with the name.
That would be yeah.
So, all right,
I'll make that my mission.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
We need that information.
So, Mike.
Yes.
What's up next for you?
All right. Next, I'm going to go with what might be my first or second favorite country group of all time. That's Diamond Rio with their album Love a Little Stronger.
You know all about the way I feel inside. You know how hard I try. But that don't mean that I can't love a little stronger, dig a little deeper, go a little farther, anything to please you, girl. Tonight I'm gonna start all over, show you, girl, what's in my heart. Ooh, gonna love a little stronger.
All right.
I brought up Diamond Rio, I think, last year.
You've definitely brought them up a couple of times, I think.
Yeah, and I think the next year might be my favorite album of theirs, but this one's still really a good one. Obviously the title track, Love a Little Stronger, I think is their biggest one for this one. Finish What We Started, Night Is Falling in My Heart, all really good songs, and I love how they also have some nice fun songs, because they got one on this one called Bubba Hyde. And it's just a really fun song. I love how their harmonies are second to only my. I think their harmonies are second to my favorite country group of all time, which is Rascal Flatts. But Diamond Trio has got a lot of really good, really solid harmonies. They're one of the few groups I know that actually uses a mandolin in a lot of their songs. And also, they've got a song on this one called Appalachian Dream, which is actually instrumental. They every now and then on several of their albums will actually have just an instrumental song, which is kind of cool and very unique for a country group.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. But that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, I was gonna say I feel bad. I can't really talk much else to it.
That's all right. That's their third album. When we get to Diamond Trio 4, that's a really solid one. Yeah, and that one
then we will stand up and pay attention. All right, so next year.
Yes, next year.
These country artists that just keep dropping albums every year.
No kidding. They're just.
All right, so I'm going to bring up another one here. This one, fun piece of trivia, the best-selling independent album of all time.
Nice.
Smash by The Offspring.
Oh, I love this album.
Oh my God.
So
this album took me by surprise because I thought these guys were idiots at first. Because I love Come Out and Play, but it felt like such a novelty song. And then I realized that's their MO. They essentially kick off every album with something that sounds like a novelty song. I mean, you go back to Ixnay on the Ombre, which I think was their third album. This is the third after this one, and that had Pretty Fly for a White Guy on there. And I'm like, oh, this is what they do. But this album is solid. But solid commercial punk.
You listen to songs like Self-Esteem, and you listen to the lyrics.
Yeah,
you're like, oh wow, this is not just. There is more to this song than what you see in this. There's more to this band than what you see on the surface.
Oh right. Yeah. I mean, they had, they kept it light. They kept even something like Self-Esteem, which, it's got some great lyrics in there, is still having fun with it. And that's
right.
It's
like that trend where you listen to a song, you love the harmony, you're bebopping along, then you listen to the lyrics and you're like, oh my God, should I feel bad about this?
Oh, it's what I love about this.
Yeah, and that's like Self-Esteem is one of those songs. You listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh, dude, you need help, man. Go see a therapist.
Yeah, and you're also like,
you are not in a healthy. It's like you are not in a healthy situation.
Yeah. Some of the other songs too. I mean, just like Nitro, just kicking it off with Nitro. We're Not the Ones. There's just all these different songs that they've got great guitar riffs. They really I love punk that utilizes bass, like heavy bass. Like there's that you get the bass solos in Self-Esteem, but it's all over the album. And then when you learn that like most of the guys in this band were goddamn rocket scientists.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the guitar player is legitimately a rocket scientist.
Right. You're like, dude, you rock, man. You are just like, this is awesome.
Yeah, this is so.
Yeah,
it's just such an amazing
album.
Such an amazing album. And again, it's just one of those things I picked up on a kind of like a whim, back in the days when I had expendable cash, and it was like, I'll pick it up. Oh my God, this thing's amazing. It's like you'd spread the gospel of this album. Like, honestly, Throwing Copper and this were albums that I have to tell you about this. I have to tell you about this. And yeah, I did not realize until somewhat recently that this album was released on Epitaph Records, which was the God, I can't remember his name, but the lead singer of Bad Religion's record label. So this was a minuscule record label that put out this, multi-platinum album.
Cool.
So it's pretty impressive.
I know it's a really good album.
So before we go into our final picks here, does anybody have any honorable mentions that they want to mention that might have just not made the cut?
I mostly put Purple by Stone Temple Pilots on here because it came out and we hadn't mentioned it elsewhere, but it definitely deserved mention.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we kind of we alluded to it on part one that it's a departure from core.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were actually allowed to kind of be their own band for
Yeah.
Oh, but there's so many good songs. Interstate Love Song.
I love that song.
That is arguably one of the best STP songs ever. But I mean, yeah, there's hardly a bad track on this album.
Yeah.
I mean, Interstate Love Song, Pretty Penny, Unglued. So many. Silver Gun Superman.
I saw STP live on this tour.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
In Worcester. Yeah. Actually, the aforementioned on part one, Jawbox, was one of their opening bands. The other band was the Meat Puppets. Yeah.
Big Empty. Big Empty's another good one.
Yeah.
Lounge
that was also
Fly.
the Crow soundtrack. Yep. Great album.
When you guys mentioned STP, I wish you'd at least start with Stone Temple Pilots, because whenever you mention STP, I'm like, motor oil? What?
Oh man. So, Mike, did you have any honorables on your list that you want to quickly go over?
Yeah. I have a couple. I mentioned Little Texas already. Blackhawk is another country group. Their first album came out this year. It's a good one, but really, there's only two songs on it I really, really love. Goodbye Says It All, and the one of my favorite one is I Sure Can Smell the Rain. And those are good ones. Travis Tritt's got a really good album. This one, 10 Feet Tall and Bulletproof.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's really only a couple of songs off them. One I really, really love. But the music video for Tell Me I Was Dreaming is heartbreaking. It's actually, he does a couple of music videos where he plays this, like, I think a Vietnam War vet who's like kind of, I think he lost his legs. And in the first music video, he kind of reconnects with he's in this training center. He has to be told to, he's encouraged to reconnect with his old flame, and they finally get together. Tell Me I Was Dreaming. It's a continuing story of them, and it doesn't have a happy ending. I'm just going to say.
Wow, country song with a sad ending. Jesus.
Yeah,
I know.
The music video is really heartbreaking.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I mean, the album is good. He's got better ones. Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, those
Nice.
are my two. Those are my two picks.
All right, awesome. So there was one on my honorable mention that was already brought up on part one. Dave McLean brought up Nirvana Unplugged. I do want to give a quick plug to Dave's podcast, The Time Travelers News and World Report, which is available on Spotify. So if you're a big fan of David's work, or if you want to check out his work, go to Spotify and subscribe to The Time Travelers News and World Report. It's a lot of fun. You can definitely tell he's got his heart and soul have been invested into this story. So have at that. But he did mention Nirvana Unplugged, which is on my honorables. However, we've kind of talked about a lot of mine throughout the last two episodes, but there are two we have not. The first one is from the band Magnapop, and the album's called Hot Boxing. I discovered these guys when they opened up for Sugar on the File Under Easy Listening Tour. Very, very similar in terms of its musical composure. Very, very hard on the guitars. A lot of fun. Great. It's just good, fun, upbeat pop punk. And then Helium, Pirate Prude, which I had heard. I was first introduced to the band Helium with Beavis and Butthead when they played. There was a song that they played called Love Baby XXX, which is just, it's this droning guitar and bass. It's very psychedelic and very surreal. And they put out this EP, Pirate Prude, which is that for 35 minutes. Well worth your time. It's a very short album to listen to, but there's a lot of really great stuff on there. And the lead singer, Margot Timoney's voice is just, it's almost like she's forcing a falsetto when she sings, and it works so well for the style of music that she's fronting. And with that, we each have a final album to wrap us up with. Catherine.
All right. So I always save the best for last. And this is Queensryche, Promised Land. Which is my favorite Queensryche album and one of my favorite albums ever. The song Bridge off of it was the one that got most radio airplay, from what I know, and it's not their best song off the album. It's fine. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a guy song about I didn't bond with my dad enough kind of song. But so much more of it is about, like, it's all about self-reflection, I think. But so many of the other songs are so much better. And I could tell nobody else has listened to it.
I listened to the song that I listened to IMI. It's just, it's just me kind of being like, I'm stuck in a rut with Queensryche. Not so much because I think that they were at this point were still putting out really good music, because they still had Jeff Tate in the band. But it's really maybe it's the nostalgia speaking, but after Mindcrime and Empire, it's like they put out other things. That's a me problem. That's not an everyone problem. That's a me problem.
Yeah. Mindcrime is good and Empire is good, but I think Promised Land is so much better if you listen to it soup to nuts.
Okay.
Yeah, I listened to his song on the playlist today as well, and it's just not my taste. Sorry.
Well, yeah, it's definitely I wouldn't think you'd like it, but it's also it's kind of along the lines of a downward spiral of screw you, I'm gonna be me. You don't like me, fine. I don't care. I am myself.
Mm.
But there's also a lot of self-reflection, like Disconnected is like, I'm by myself alone in this world. I need to be, I don't feel connected. I want to feel connected. Someone Else is a good song. My Global Mind, like I said, I like pretty much, Bridge got overplayed and, it's not exactly my song, but pretty much everything else on this album I love. And way back in the day when we talked about Operation Mindcrime, it was like, this was our wall. This was the wall.
Yeah.
And, they don't have a cohesive story in Promised Land, but it's just, all right. I'm sorry you guys don't enjoy it as much.
It's okay.
No,
it's okay.
again,
like I said, I think for me it's a me problem.
Yeah, I'm with Andy. It's like it's a me problem. For me, it's like, oh, wait a second. There's other stuff besides. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing is that Bridge got overplayed, or if you called the rock station, it'd be like, play me some Queensryche. They're going to play Silent Lucidity again.
Right.
And it's like, no, they rock so much harder than that. And then after this album, I found that they kind of fell off. I didn't like it so much, but I still love this album. And when the downstairs neighbors are being really loud and annoying and running around and screaming, I am going to turn up the volume and play Promised Land.
Nice. All right. So Joe, what's your final album?
My final album is, and of course, it wouldn't be a music show if I didn't throw at least one Eric Clapton album in.
I was shocked.
Wait.
When I saw this on the list.
Since how long has Shale liked Clapton? I never knew that.
But for me, this is arguably one of his best albums, and it's called From the Cradle. And the reason I love it is because all it is just straight blues standards.
Said you was hurting, you almost lost your mind. Now the man you love, he hurts you all the time. When things go wrong with you, it hurts me too. You love him more when you should love him less. Why pick up behind him and take his mess? When things go wrong with you, it hurts me too.
Okay.
And what it is, though, and of course, everybody knows Eric Clapton. That's how he started, playing the blues and stuff like that. But if you listen to a lot of the blues on his other albums, they're very produced. They're very kind of tailor-made to a wider audience. Not the hardcore blues listener. And From the Cradle is really kind of a return to roots, where he just strips it down to, a 4-piece band, and just straight out electric blues. You know, not overproduced, just let the turn the guitars to overdrive and just let it rip, and it's so much fun. You know, it truly is an homage to blues music. You know, to like the Robert Johnsons and stuff like that. It's so good.
Interesting.
So, if you're a fan of blues, if you're a fan of blues music, definitely give it a shot.
Cool. Give that a try sometime. I'm looking for something a little more mellow. Mike, what do you got?
No, this is electric blues, Andy. Not Delta blues. This is Chicago electric blues.
Oh, okay. So I'll listen to that then when I'm drinking my Michelob's. After midnight. All right. All right, Mike, what's your final album?
My final album, as I mentioned in part one, is Tracy Lawrence's "I See It Now."
I pulled up to the airport, confident and cool. But when you stepped off that plane, I knew I was your fool. My little Texas tornado, blowing me away again. I swore it wouldn't happen again, but I looked at you and there I'm like a tumbleweed in a Wild West Texas wind. You're blowing me away again.
I mean, he's got a lot of really good songs on here, like the title track "I See It Now," "If the World Had a Front Porch," "Texas Tornado." Texas Tornado might be my favorite one. That one and "I See It Now" kind of edge each other out, as any fool can see. But what really made this one pop for me is he released music videos for "I See It Now," "If the World Had a Front Porch," "Texas Tornado," and "As Any Fool Can See." And what he did was they all had the same director as well, and he actually kind of did a bit of a Quantum Leap type thing.
Okay.
So it starts with Renegades, Rebels, and music video for Renegades, Rebels, and Rogues, where he takes a music video from an earlier album, and it shows the end of that album. It's like a NASCAR thing, and he's driving the NASCAR, and then suddenly it has this Quantum Leap effect, and it pulls him out of that, and he pops into Renegades, Rebels, and Rogues, and so the whole music video is switches from him actually playing and singing the song to him as this sheriff in an old west town, and he has to save this woman from a bank that's about to blow up. And then as he's running away from that, he leaps again. He leaps into "I See It Now," where he's this kind of farmhand that's helping this woman who's about to lose her farm, and he helps them fix it all up. And then he leaps out of that into "As Any Fool Can See," where he's on a pirate ship, and it's a really cool thing that he's actually making continuity between a lot of music videos, and it's just a really cool, fun effect. The music videos themselves are really kind of fun. He's playing with that, and it kind of sort of ends with "If the World Had a Front Porch," where it looks like he was just kind of in this weird VR game.
Yeah.
But then either in the next album or a couple of albums later, they decide to do it again when that same director comes back and directs a video. He does another one where he leaps into another place, and it's a really cool thing. I'd never seen anyone ever do kind of that with a country music video before.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it honestly, it's worth looking. If you don't mind country music, Chet, I mean, the songs are all really, really good. I really enjoy them. And it's fun just watching these music videos kind of link from one to the other.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it definitely sounds interesting. It sounds like he definitely had a concept in place when he was putting that together. So
yeah,
interesting. Interesting. All right. So I got one more on my list here, and that is God, I cannot believe this album's 30 years old. Dookie, like Green Day.
Dookie.
A gunshot rings out at the station. Another urchin snaps and left dead on his own. It makes me wonder why I'm still here. But some strange reason it's now feeling like my home, and I'm never gonna go. Pay attention to the cracks and the broken homes. Some call it some call it nice. I wanna take you through a wasteland I like to call my own. Welcome to paradise.
When this album first came out, I was really dismissive of Green Day because I was like, this is all right. This is where punk is going. This is just hot, heavy commercial rotation. Just three snot-nosed kids, just rattling off their gripes about jerking off and feeling sad. And then I went back and I looked at this track list, and I was like, I thought half of this album was on another, more mature album. Welcome to Paradise and She are both on Dookie. And I'm like, how is this possible? How is it possible? This album is amazing and it escaped me.
Well, Pulling Teeth. Oh, it is Pulling Teeth is such a mature song. For I mean, let's face it, it's a song about him being domestically abused by his girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's just like something like that was so groundbreaking in 1994.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you think of like the song structure that they're building in too, Welcome to Paradise, it's got like this great like that hallway yell toward at the end of all the choruses. It's just like, oh my God, I really undersold this album when it first came out. But I mean, and then you look back and you see how well adjusted this band really is. That 30 years later, they're still together. They're still putting out music. They're sold out Fenway Park, and 10 years from Dookie, they release American Idiot, which is one of the best albums of the 20th century.
Yep.
Oh God,
and they still have, they haven't changed their message. They still have the same message, and they have a wide reach, and they get to say what they need to say. And also, Dookie, somebody on the back of the disc, there's somebody in the crowd of the picture dancing with an Ernie puppet.
So there was this.
It's always fascinating. Yeah. It's always great too when somebody of our generation gets disappointed by the fact that Green Day is so political nowadays. I'm like, were you guys not listening 30 years ago?
It's like people who are like playing Rage Against the Machine and they don't get it, and Rage Against the Machine is like, do you not understand what machine we were raging against?
Dude, you're the machine.
They weren't listening. It's like, you didn't get it. You weren't listening.
This album, and even going back and listening to like Longview and Basket Case, which were like inescapable in the summer of '94. It was just like, wow, these actually really are good songs. I mean, just that walking bass line riff in Longview is just it sounds so good and so like musically accomplished for a bunch of guys in their early 20s. But yeah, just going back and like I thought that was on like a later album. Welcome to Paradise, When I Come Around. Oh my God, that song's fantastic. That might be my favorite song on the entire album.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sassafras Roots.
Yeah.
There's a lot that I know that song.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Green Day, I mean, it's funny too because Jim, told me that they were doing a drive. I think they were driving out of Disney. It was Jim, Tim, and Pat. And they all stopped. They needed some music to listen to in the car. So they stopped at Walmart and like Tim grabbed some, butt rock band that Jim was just not going to let him play in the car. Pat got the best of Jimmy Buffett. And he was like, you can only play that if you can name more than Margaritaville. He's like, okay, cheeseburger and fries. Like, no, you're not playing that. And then so Jim bought Dookie, and it was like, okay, we'll just listen to this. That album is like 28 minutes long. So it's like you're driving down to Florida to listen to the same 28 long minute album.
Yeah, you're not getting out of the state with that album.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're lucky if you pass county lines with that album. But yeah, it's just
lightning crashes on repeat.
I can feel it. Oh, and with that, I think we need to wrap. It's getting late. I'm getting punchy, and we went long on this one because it's Music in '94. So, guys, thank you so much. I always love our conversations when we talk about music. So, thank you so much for bringing the goods again every year. It's always nice to get that. In fact, now that we do the playlists, my kids recognize when I'm listening to like the year playlist. Yeah, 'cause I was driving my daughter somewhere. And I think, Mike, it was one of your picks. She immediately picked up that it was country. She's like, is this Mike's pick? Are you doing a Music in '94 episode? Like, yes, we are.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, my husband did the same thing. He was like, so this is Mike.
Yep.
Do I have a typo? Is that what you're saying?
It just speaks volumes that Weird Al did not release an album that year. So
yeah, that would be a toss-up between me or Catherine.
Yeah, true. So that is our conversation on the Music in '94. Again, thank you to everybody who contributed that we shouted out on episode 1. I do appreciate it, especially if you came back and listened to part 2. We don't have a topic for next month yet, so we are going to figure that out. So we will let you know when that comes around. So we'll let you know via our social media, which, again, is Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast and at Geek Salad Radio on Twitter, on Blue Sky, and on Threads. Yeah, no. I'm dead naming it like he dead names his child.
Fair enough.
And you can check out our archive wherever you get your podcasts. And also, don't forget, check out our YouTube channel, Geek Salad Podcast, where Mike and I do our weekly movie retro reviews. We're having a grand old time with that. I don't know when this episode is going to land in terms of where we're at for Best Picture stuff, but we'll figure that out later on. But there's tons of movies that we've discussed already. So go back, check out the archive, check out the constant change in backgrounds and Andy's facial hair and styles. So.
As the
All
show
I can say now
demands.
Oh, yes, as the show demands, the Nostradamus beard, by the way, is gone. So, yep, long beard is now gone. So, anyway, folks, thanks so much for joining us.
Wow.
And
That
until
should totally be your pirate name.
Nostradamus beard?
Yeah,
Or
Andy
long beard.
Nostradamus
Okay.
beard.
It's metaphorical. So, anyway, until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
I'm Joe.
I'm Catherine.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you later.
That was a David Bowie song.